Hey, welcome to F1 Rolling Start. My name is James.
I'm Ben.
And we're here to celebrate one of the most epic races we have yet to experience in the 2025 calendar. The race that is Monaco.
Did you say celebrate?
We're celebrating.
Did you use the word
because they
celebrate?
just signed a new contract. They're going to be in the fold for a few more years for
My
sure.
blood is boiling that they are still in our schedule. I'm going to do something I normally try not to do. We have a video podcast. We try to not look at our notes. I'm going to take a moment and read from my notes.
No, you
because I wrote a freaking
cue the monologue, friends. Cue the monologue.
The rage bait monologue.
Yes, Monaco, where strategy goes to die.
I gotta get ready for this. So Monaco has been
on your lap.
It is my lap. I don't freaking care. Monaco has been called the jewel in the crown for a long time. Now I get it. It's been here since the beginning. I get it. It's been on the track ever since F1 was a thing. Okay. And I can respect history.
Right.
I love history. It's incredible. It's phenomenal. However, it has went from being the jewel in the crown, when that was, to a diamond-studded, pace-manipulating, pit stop palooza of a race. So in an attempt to make a Monaco Sunday as good as a Monaco Saturday,
right?
F1 has been mandated 2 pit stops, essentially. They said you've got to use multiple tire compounds, and therefore you have to have 2 pit stops. So they try to force multiple pit stops, and teams were really forced to treat their drivers like pawns on a chessboard. And the way that it turned out was just absolute catastrophe.
Totally.
It was not racing. We had teammates literally slowing down the entire field to serve their other teammate. We saw that with Hamilton, with Sainz, with Lawson, with Albon. Albon at the end of the race in the press pit looked into the camera and said, "I'm sorry," and apologized to the F1 fans because he was like, this wasn't racing. This wasn't what we wanted.
It's so bad.
And I was like, heck yeah, you're right,
so
Albon.
bad.
Martin Brundle, it was too chaotic. The focus was on pitting and not racing. Jimmy V, our good boy, James Vowles from Williams, was, the poor team principal who was, suckered into being on the pit wall and, having talked to Sky Sports this entire weekend. And he kept saying, this is not how we want to go racing.
We can't do this again next year.
We cannot do this. He's like, unless we make other changes, we cannot 100%. Do this. So here is my anger. Here's my rage. F1's supposed to be the fastest sport in the world, right? It's where drivers race really fast cars. It's where they overtake each other. It's where there's strategy and where someone tries to win. And there's the opportunity to actually win. Monaco, though, and this weekend was such a clear picture of this, but Monaco is forcing F1 to have a hard look in the mirror and finally answer a looming larger philosophical question. And here's the question. Do old, narrow racetracks with no DRS, 0 overtaking opportunities, where the action of the weekend peaks on a Saturday during quali, a race where half the drivers have to intentionally slow down, the fastest cars in the world deserve a spot on the F1 race calendar? I'm going to answer that for you with an emphatic hell no. F1 needs to be as ruthless with tracks as teams are with drivers.
Oh, I like that.
I don't care if you're the jewel in the crown of F1. If Saturday quali is better than Sunday race, get out.
Yeah.
You don't deserve a spot on the F1 calendar. This is not about racing. This is not strategy. This is not winning and gaining points on merit. This is faux drama and sensational garbage. Monaco, your time has come. Move over.
Well, they're not going to move over because they're on the calendar for
I
the
know.
next first
Rage. Rage.
I agree. Monaco
James,
sucked.
I'm so angry.
It sucked.
I'm so angry.
Qualifying was incredible. I was literally yelling at my television.
I was too.
And then as soon as it was done, I finally felt what it means to slip into a deep depression because I knew that the next day was going to be a processional. It was a $50 million car parade.
We literally
I might as well have gone to a museum. It was absolutely terrible. It was not entertaining.
No.
Drivers, like you said, Albon literally apologizing. Martin Brundle said, this sport's supposed to be about perfection, and all it is right now is about who's going to time the pit stop.
James, why is Monaco still on the racetrack? Give me your assessment.
Money!
That makes me so angry, though.
I think it's money. I think it's history.
Okay.
I think it is a race that all drivers want to race. And the reality is that it's insanely difficult. And there is a ton of jeopardy. The problem is they cannot overtake at all.
No. I had to get off of my rant podium there for a minute, back into reality here. So here's the thing. As I was watching the processional, I'm not going to call it the race anymore. It will be the processional from here on out.
Yep.
As I was watching the processional today, as they come out of the tunnel, there is an opportunity for them to have a longer straight. But they have that hard left turn, which Kimi got to know real well on quali. He's bended into the wall there.
Yeah.
But I was like,
There's some edits that Kimi made. That's not I don't think that's the solve, Ben.
It's not the solve. But I'm like, if we just straighten this.
I have the solve.
You talked about this.
No, I have a different solve now.
Okay, tell me your different solve.
My solve for the Monaco Grand Prix is very simple. If Saudi Arabia and every other Middle Eastern country that's lavish and bathing in oil can just go ahead and build islands into the ocean out of nothing, then why can't Monaco, the smallest, most wealthiest place in pretty much the entire world per capita, go ahead and build more land, move the marina out, build it out, and give me a racetrack that goes out and around the marina. I want some, maybe some loop-de-loops.
Oh, dude.
Give me something that's actually worth. Take all the funniness out of it. Give me something that's wide enough for them to get around each other. Give them 1 or 2 corners where they can actually outbrake somebody into without causing a disaster.
We need one straight. It doesn't have a straight.
No.
It doesn't. So, But here's the thing.
2 straights would be awesome. But yeah, one would make it better.
I like this idea, though, of going into the marina.
Just build it out, dude.
Yeah, there's the money. If F1 can spend what was $500 million on Vegas.
Yeah. If you don't want that, if you don't want to change that part, then that's fine. Then give up the race.
Here's what you're going to see happening, though. Drivers, there was no edits on driver feedback in the press pen. Like Sainz, Verstappen, Albon, everyone was just full-throated, brutally honest about this is not racing. Like Verstappen even made a comment. He was like, yeah, we should just do like Mario Karts where we throw bananas out the back of our cars to create some more drama. Like he was like, this isn't anything.
100%.
So, and that's not a good look for F1. Mm-hmm. That's not a good look for Monaco. You think the royal family loves that every driver, as soon as they get in front of a mic, is like, yeah, this sucked.
No.
It's a terrible look for the sport. It's
100%.
a terrible look for
100%.
And I understand. Here's the thing. That place, it's a gorgeous community.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't mind going to the freaking south of France.
Yeah, of course. It's beautiful. It's 5 miles from Italy. It's on the Med. I mean, Toto lives there.
Stay in Nice. Watch the race of Monaco. Sounds awesome.
It sounds great, but just because it's gorgeous and it's beautiful
doesn't mean it's a good race.
It's a good race.
And it's the same thing every year.
This year,
when is it going to change?
This year, the feedback was brutal.
Well, last year the feedback was brutal
but Chuck won.
Yes, but last year
there was some aura
it was still
about that.
Sure. Chuck won. That's awesome. Great job. Love it, Chuck. It's all amazing.
Hero.
Great. Chuck. That's awesome. And he came in second, and you should be happy with that because your car's a piece of junk.
He wasn't. We'll get to him later. He was so pissed.
The problem is last year they all pitted on the early red flag, and then they just followed each other on ratty tires for the entirety of the race. And that's why we have the regulations we have this year.
Well, that's what Martin was saying.
Now it's
too.
trash.
Martin was trying to give context because it was just being brutalized by everyone. And he was like, well, you got to remember, this is what happened last year. That's why there's the 2 pit stops. And everyone's like, we don't care. It sucks. Yes.
If you can build temporary grandstands, why can't we build a temporary road? Why can't we build a permanent road? Why can't we expand it, do a Joker lap, do something, make it go further
I mean, the
into
Army
the
Corps of
streets?
Engineers, they built temporary roads all over Europe
Oh my
during World War
gosh.
II.
100%.
I mean, there's got to be some of those laying around. Just throw it through the marina.
The people of the roads.
No. The roads.
There's got to be some Army Corps people from World War II
No,
laying
the
around.
Army
Get
Corps
them out
engineers,
there.
get them over there.
Europe was in World War II, right? Yeah, they've got some people out there.
Here's my thing is I want to watch a sport and I want to see excellence.
Yep.
I want to see competition and I want to see fair play.
Yeah.
You didn't see that.
No.
And that's why I think you had drivers like Albon apologizing so profusely because he realizes what we did wasn't fair.
Right.
It was strategic and we played ourselves to the situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't even start on Williams.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But he was like, it wasn't. This wasn't racing. This wasn't fair. And so,
not at all.
I don't have anything else to say about the processional besides the fact that it would have been more interesting if the Crown Prince just led a safety car around the whole thing for 70 F laps.
You know that, like, you know how you always see him like in the back of cars waving? They should have just done that. They should have just gone around waving. Qualifying's done. Everything's good.
Same results.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Monaco, you sucked.
And you're not going to get any better.
Ever. Unless you listen to the two smartest people in Formula One and either don't deny yourself, don't be humble. You know we're super smart. And give yourself a Joker lap.
To say.
Build more road.
Yeah.
Pour a ton of concrete.
Let's make it wider.
Don't say it's bad for the environment. The amount of super yachts I saw parked in your front yard, I don't think you give a flying rip about. They spent $180,000 on fuel. Like, you don't care about the environment. Just build more road.
Yeah.
Make racing better. Build bigger roads. It makes everything better. Pretty much.
Okay, so
America
Monaco,
can fix the problems.
The processional aside, let's go to McLaren.
Yeah.
So McLaren, Lando gets his Monaco win. Crofty says this is one of the most special wins of his career. First off, I deny the premise of that statement. No. If the race is a processional, then the win doesn't matter and it shouldn't be special. It's special because of the history. Okay, whatever. Put that aside. So put that aside, though. Talk about Lando for a second.
Yeah.
Was this weekend a meaningful win for Lando in his championship?
100%. I think, yes. They say it all the time. Every driver wants to win Monaco. Great. He won Monaco. You and I are very clear on our opinion of Monaco.
Yeah.
It's crap. Lando, though, needed this weekend. And I think what was amazing about Lando is that not only did he win the race, he also out-qualified Piastri. Yeah. And he out-qualified Chuck, who looked like he was
fastest over all the practice sessions.
I mean, he was in vengeance mode.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
And he just came out and he was calm, cool, collected. He nailed it. And then at the end, he busted out the fastest lap just to show everyone I had this in the bag the whole time.
That was impressive.
It was absolutely phenomenal. I think leading into this weekend, the question that I had is Lando a future world champ, or is he just like the British version of Daniel Ricciardo? And this weekend, it felt like he re-established himself and said, guys, don't forget about me. I know Piastri's really cute, but do not forget about me.
Dude, no, I mean, here's the thing. We talk about Saturday, how much better it is than Sunday in Monaco. Saturday was phenomenal. Chuck takes provisional pole. Yeah. The time has expired. Lando's one of the last ones coming around and beats him out and sets a record for Monaco. Like, it's everything you want if you're Lando.
Gosh.
So again,
and by the skin of his teeth. Like, he did not beat Leclerc by that much.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So again, now we are in a position where Lando is 3 points back from Oscar. It's essentially neck and neck going into Spain. And so, yeah, I agree. I think this weekend was a weekend Lando needed. He needed to get pole. He needed to win. He needed to hold off Oscar. And he did all of those things. Right. And it was against a Chuck who, I think Chuck was just, he had really high expectations
Yeah.
of this weekend, and we'll get to Ferrari a little bit later. His expectations weren't met, and he was visibly like frustrated by P2 because I think this was a moment where he's like, I got to turn this thing around.
100%.
And I've got to get on pole. If I get on pole, I'm going to win this thing.
Yes.
And
exactly.
Lando denies the hometown hero who's been furious about the state of Ferrari, who's trying to prove something against Hamilton, who's in the next stall over. And Lando just shuts the door on him.
Slams it in his face.
That's some championship level.
Yeah. And we're also back into who's McLaren's true number one. Because they're 3 points apart.
3 points.
3 points apart.
Neck and neck.
Leading into this, the conversation was, is Piastri making Lando look average? And now the conversation is, will McLaren's bromance survive a title fight? What do you think? Will it survive?
No.
Who's their true number one driver?
It's impossible to say because they're both different and they're both neck and neck now. They both have the same amount of wins. Here's the thing. You cannot have two number one drivers. This season, I know McLaren re-signed these guys to, their entire lives at McLaren. That's not how it's going to work.
No.
That's never how it works in F1. Because at the end of the day,
inevitable.
You want to beat your opponent. And guess what? Your number one opponent is your teammate.
Yes.
So I don't think their bromance survives this year. I would not be surprised if there's renegotiated contracts. Now, where are they going to go? I don't know. Like, realistically, where would you go as a Lando or an Oscar? But it's okay for us to just be honest about the fact that this is pure competition.
Yeah.
And guess what? Teams need to pick a number one driver. Now, you need to have a strong second.
Yeah.
And teams who can have a strong second, they can get the constructors. We saw that with Checo and Max when Red Bull dominated. Mm-hmm. Checo was a strong second when they won. But at the end of the day, it's not how F1 is going to work or has worked in the past.
Right.
It's just not. So
yeah. Well, and also it's what we love about F1.
Of course.
Don't take that away from me.
No.
Come on, Zach.
Let's stop being nice to each other here. Let's
get
we got
angry. 2 number ones.
Let's
we
get
love
angry.
It. Yeah. No.
So
I want them smacking each other down, dragging each other through the gravel traps.
I mean, Zach was happy. Zach Brown is up there roaring.
Dude, the guy's roar is unparalleled.
All the royal family behind is like, this guy's so American.
Just giving that energy when he was going through like the garage and slapping everyone. Everyone was like,
how, in your assessment, how is Oscar feeling? Obviously, his emotions are tucked away. He doesn't display a lot of emotions. But he's only got a 3-point lead now.
Yeah.
He is at risk of that lead going away and losing his driver's championship lead next race to his teammate.
Yeah.
What's going through Oscar's mind right now?
I genuinely feel like he might be 50% human, 50% Cyberdyne Technologies. Does
this dude even care? He just goes and smashes a McDonald's burger on his way home and is like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Literally. Yeah, he has like a microprocessor in his head that just kind of affirmative. Like he is the Terminator. He just goes. And so I think for him, he probably never felt like he was truly leading the world championship because it wasn't that large of a gap. And we're so early. Like,
but
we're
it was
barely
over multiple
1/3.
races, though. It was over multiple races.
Yeah, for sure. But he was never that far ahead of Lando to have like a 4 or 5 race lead.
No. Yeah.
We saw that this weekend. It's gone in a race.
It is.
So what happens next? Spain comes up, and if he loses one position lower than Lando,
he loses.
Then he's no longer leading the championship. And so for him, I feel like he probably felt like I was already in a tug of war.
Yeah.
And the rope we just got closer.
Yeah.
That's my thought on Piastri. Unless he's just an incredibly good actor.
No.
I think that's genuinely him.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, that's McLaren. Let's talk your team.
No.
Mercedes.
No.
Monaco nightmare. We're going to go from the heights a victory to the depths of defeat.
Mercedes.
How are you feeling
I
as
felt
a
like
Mercedes fan?
getting on the phone, calling Toto and going, "Hey, I don't know if you just saw, I sent you an email. It's called racing." Because
It's called hard racing, Toto.
Their philosophy going into this weekend was, well, we're out of the points, so we might as well just take massive risks, hang out for a safety. And then they took no risks.
No.
They just sat out there and did nothing except George uses the straight that you're suggesting instead of making the corner, overtakes, then says, I'll take the penalty. And the stewards are like, we've got a couple different options here. We're going to go ahead and give you a drive-through penalty. Loses the points place that he was in to Albon anyway. It was absolute garbage. They had their car in front of each other and then the other one right behind it. And they didn't try anything different with either of the cars.
No.
They didn't split the strategy. They didn't go, okay, we'll wait for a long safety car for George. We'll go short and change on the first lap with Kimi. Try that route. Like, dude, and look at what Racing Bulls did.
Yeah.
Look at what Williams did.
Seriously.
And then you have Mercedes, which, by the way, rarely in the same sentence as those two other teams.
Oh, never.
And they were embarrassing. Toto will not be invited back to Harvard to give a speech on the Monaco 2025 race.
Never.
And if he does, it'll be an example of what failure looks like and how you learn from it.
Absolutely. You know,
this is my Harvard hand, by the way.
Your Harvard hand. You know, my favorite visual from this weekend was George Russell surrounded by that, the team of stewards or whoever, and he's directing them on like how to push his car during qualifying. I was like, of course, here's the president of the racers.
He gets out of the car, gets back
he's like,
into
oh no,
it.
my car's going into the wall. I gotta steer this thing. I was like, George, of course you'd be here orchestrating this whole thing around. I was like, unreal.
Amazing.
Obviously, heartbreak.
Yeah.
Both drivers out in qualifying. Both it seems with battery related issues. And then it's Monaco. So
yes.
they were out of the points. They stayed out of the points. It was a weekend of misery for Mercedes to forget.
I just left asking, like, what do you actually do with all of this data that you collect in the race, Mercedes? Like,
for Monaco, nothing. You throw it out. You forget about it. You put it in like a vault and drop it into the Atlantic or the Med. Like, that data means nothing to you. Like, it's trash data because it's a trash race.
Dude, you have Monaco has given you a micro trauma.
I am so angry. It's just about money, and it's just about this. All
Jeff
this,
Bezos, the event. Dude,
I was like,
oh my gosh! When
I was like, Jeff Bezos, save this race, save Monaco, put a freaking bridge that goes over the harbor. That's like this new strait. Somehow save this race from itself.
Martin Brundle has unlocked a new level of based as a European commentator that I appreciate, because during the race, he's trying to call the shots on one of the cars in like a key moment of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And as it comes around the corner, he starts to talk about the next camera shot that it's going to go to. Instead, it cuts to Jeff Bezos sitting in a chair, sipping a glass of champagne. And Martin Brundle goes, well, that's not the shot we were going to look at. I don't think that's necessarily helpful. He's just so base. He's like, why are we looking at Jeff Bezos? We're here to look at the cars.
Because
and
that's
that
what
is Monaco. Monaco is about looking at Jeff Bezos. What size is his yacht? Is Colin McGregor there? Colin McGregor. Is that the guy's name? Conor McGregor. Like, it's just, it's all crap, dude. You got Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy himself. It's all terrible.
He is McDreamy.
He's good looking, dude.
This is the headline on F1's website. Monaco lowdown. All the key moments as Norris realizes a dream, Racing Bulls shine, and the famous faces enjoy the show.
Dude, way to put.
Enough about the famous faces. We don't care.
You know what Monaco did? That's F1 putting jewels on the turd that is Monaco. That was absolutely horrific. That's spin at its finest.
Oh, yeah. Such great spin. Let's transition from Mercedes, because unless you have more to say about
I have
the
nothing
misery,
to say. I mean,
miserably.
They are my F2 team of the week.
They should be.
They were I can't even describe how much of a letdown Mercedes was.
Yeah. Speaking of F2 teams, Max said the only car that an F1 car could pass at Monaco is an F2 car. He's like, that's the only car that we can actually pass.
And we ran around the kicks. So that's true.
I want to talk about this. We have a 3-way fight for second now, post Monaco. We have Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, all within 5 points of each other. Mercedes was firmly in the lead as second. So right now we've got McLaren 319, which they're running away with this thing.
Yeah.
Which would tend to happen when you have drivers that get first or second every single race. So McLaren, they've run away with it. But second place is where all of the focus is going to be now. Mercedes is at 147. Red Bull's at 143, purely because of what Max is doing with that tractor of a car that he's been given. And then Ferrari has jumped to their 142.
Yeah.
So we literally have in Spain, we're going to have one or two, or
there's going to be a reorg in Spain.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Ferrari could potentially go to second place.
Yes.
In Spain.
Yeah. I think leading into this weekend, I was like questioning, is Ferrari just Williams with different merch? Because it was a very disappointing start to the season. And although Williams is killing it, they're still in the midfield. And that's where Ferrari's been hanging out. And so I'm like, okay, so they've just kind of joined the midfield for this season. And then, boom, Monaco hits. And the question I'm left with, are they truly going to experience some form of a leap next week in Spain after the abysmal performance they've had all year? They can't balance between high and low speed corners. Monaco's all low.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to pull it together for the car.
Yep.
Both the drivers had it underneath them. I thought it was a great example of the fact that those drivers are actually kind of close, especially with there's only being less than 10 races at Ferrari for Hamilton.
They're right there.
He was right up there with Chuck. And so my thought with them is
45 seconds back. But yes.
In the end of the race, but qualifying.
He was there. Yeah, he was right there.
Qualifying is what really matters. He also managed to go from 7th to 5th in Monaco.
Passing is possible.
So that's not too bad. And I think it'll come down to Mercedes and Red Bull.
For second?
For second.
Wait.
I don't think Ferrari's going to pull this car out. I think it was an anomaly.
But here's the thing, though. They have 2 drivers. Red Bull has 1 driver.
And they have no car.
2 is greater than 1.
Ferrari has no car.
Red Bull has no car.
Ferrari has Max.
Ferrari has Max. Red Bull has Max.
Yeah. Ferrari has Max. Max can get pole and do it. Chuck can get pole and inevitably isn't going to convert into a win.
No, but here's the thing, though. Even if I'm Max, so Max, of course, he gets 4th place, but then Yuki is in 17th. For
I'll
Ferrari,
give you that. Yuki's
Chuck
up to a little bit of a slow start.
Chuck, Helmut Marko was like, "Can we fire this guy already?" No, Helmut, you fired all your other drivers.
You're out of drivers, dude.
He's like, "Wait, last week this guy rolls my car.
Yeah.
This week he gets beaten by Liam and Isaac. WTF?"
Both racing bulls, by the way.
But here's the thing. Chuck and Hamilton have, even if they both score lower than Max, their points are going to be more. They're going to equal more. I think it's between Ferrari and Mercedes, not Red Bull and Mercedes.
And
I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm a Max fan. But I think Ferrari, they have 2 better drivers.
I like how you correct yourself. I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm a Max fan.
My kids today were chanting. They're like, "Dad, we're Ferrari fans." I was like, "I'm Max."
Yes,
but
you
if you guys want to be Ferrari
you're a
fans, you
Ferrari
can.
fan.
And so they're like, Ferrari.
My son only says Ferrari with an Italian accent. He goes Ferrari. There's a D in it somewhere.
Ferrari. As much as I want Max to beat Ferrari, Mercedes,
I just think Max is going to keep putting it in the top 3, no matter what car he's in. And I think he's going to score. The Ferrari has been so inconsistent.
But do you remember how far back Ferrari was? They were back a ways from Red Bull, and they have in a very short amount of time closed that gap.
No, in Monaco they closed the gap.
No. They closed the gap bigger in Monaco, but they were even further back.
That's true.
So like, it's just pure math. They have 2 drivers. They got a crap car, but they're able
So
to
you
get
think
points.
it's going to come down to McLaren steamrolling
Oh, they're
the
already
championship,
steamrolled away. They're already more than double Mercedes.
and then you think it's going to be a battle between Mercedes and Ferrari,
yes,
and you think Red Bull is just going to tumble down and
Red Bull will
eventually get
continue-
overtaken by Williams?
no. No, Williams.
I don't know, dude.
Christian Horner will lose his job if they lose to Williams.
Allegedly, he's already going to lose his job.
Several folks on the team need to lose their job after this season, but I think Ferrari, Mercedes are the ones that are going to fight it out. Red Bull is going to drift into oblivion. Max will continue to compete because he does, but they've already let go of the drivers.
Right.
They let it go. That's not a focus for them because it can't be a focus for them. So, that's where I think it's going to stay.
In your opinion, who is, if this is true, in your opinion,
It is.
who is responsible for Red Bull's demise? Is it Helmut? Is it Horner? Is it the car?
I'll start with the car.
You're ranking them? I
So-
asked for one and you're ranking them?
So Adrian Newey left,
Adrian Newey left.
and Adrian Newey is the best car designer in all of freaking F1 history. He gone, and therefore your car
Okay.
is downgraded. Now, why did Adrian Newey leave? Adrian Newey left because it became a freaking soap opera over there.
Yeah. Well,
And whose fault is that? And this is where Horn Dog and Helmet and the ownership and Max's dad.
Yeah.
Comes
is
into
it
play.
all on Horner, though?
I'm not saying it's all. I listed like 17 people. The leadership, Horner, Helmet, Max's dad.
What's 4? It's close to 17. But
Well,
that's
like
good.
the leadership. There's an infinite.
infinite
Do you
number.
remember when they were fighting? It was like the Thai leadership versus the
majority
Australian?
owners.
It's
Yeah.
like it was just a drama-filled
Yeah.
hellscape. And the best designer in F1 history is like,
Politics.
I'm not dealing with this.
It
You
was
guys
political.
are nuts.
Yeah.
So the best car in F1 history, designed by the best designer in F1 history, both of those things are gone.
Yep.
Because of this group of drama nutsos who couldn't get it together. And obviously there was, I don't want to talk about the allegations because that's still unfounded and it's not, been proven yet. But that was part of it. So if you lose your best designer who designed your best car and he's gone, then what are you left to give Max? And I know the rest of the Red Bull designers are like, well, it wasn't just Adrian. Have you seen your car this year?
Right.
Did you see it during qualifying in Monaco?
Yeah.
You see where Max was at? Nowhere.
Right.
So that doesn't really answer the question.
No, you didn't answer my question at all.
But these are the dynamics in Red
So
Bull.
you think
right
it's
now.
the overall leadership that is responsible for the
leadership
downfall?
plural.
Okay.
Leadership plural.
And as the CEO of Red Bull,
Yeesh.
wouldn't that then fall on Horner?
It does. I mean, whoever's the CEO, you get paid for things to fall on your shoulders.
Right.
You get paid to take the blame. So yes, I mean, he has to take the blame for Adrian Newey leaving, for the car plunging off a cliff of greatness into where it's at now, and for the fact that his team has not been able to give one of the best drivers in F1 history a car for him to actually consistently compete.
Yep.
But also, I mean, I would put, that's rotating second seat. That's on Helmut and Christian. The fact that they have not brought up and been able to keep a consistent driver in that seat is another big part of it as well.
Yeah. Which is, again, to me, everything comes down to it falling on Horner's shoulders.
I mean, if you got to pick one person, but it's not just that though. Think about this for a second.
And you're saying that because he doesn't have, from the outside looking in, he doesn't have control to say, Helmut, you're out.
I don't know who has control over Helmut Marko. He's an
I don't think Helmut has control over Helmut.
He's an advisor to Red Bull. I'm like, why is this guy still here?
He makes racist comments, wears a couple t-shirts for a week, and then he's back in Red Bull gear.
Why is this guy still here?
Yeah.
So I don't know who has control over Helmut. But here's my thing too. We're also this is this is a fall that didn't just start a year ago. This is also the natural results of Red Bull
Right.
prioritizing all designing of the car towards Max preferences.
Yeah.
Max is otherworldly. He's a god. He can drive anything and wring the neck out of it to get a result. But the problem is he is 1 in a million. Other drivers, everyone else who's had that second seat can't do that.
Right.
So when you design every aspect of your car to Max, and this was one of the commentators mentioned about Yuki. Yuki just had to say whatever his setup is. I can't drive it, but just I don't know how to design this thing.
Right.
So Horner said, listen, we've spent years allowing Max to lead the design of our car, and we're paying for that now because we can't have a second driver who can drive Max's car, because no one can drive Max's car the way he drives it.
Right.
So that's also like a years long problem that they didn't fully reckon with.
Right.
And now it's coming to roost. You can't, it doesn't matter who you put in the second.
Chicken's coming home to roost, man.
I'm telling you, you can't keep a second driver because you would have to totally reconstruct your car.
Yeah, 100%.
And allow that second driver to have meaningful input.
Yeah. And I do think part of it, Horner does have one hand tied behind his back, because for years, the difference between him and someone like Toto Wolff is that Toto Wolff is part owner of the team.
Yeah.
Horner is just an employee. He is not an owner of that team. And so he's not an owner team principal. He's just a team principal. And so he doesn't have that kind of sway with the higher ups that like Toto has. Like Toto owns, I think, like 30-something%.
Yeah, he's one of the
Mercedes.
higher ups.
Like he is the higher up.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a difference between like leadership style. Horner has been Red Bull's been the playboy, fun, music cranked, that kind of, the young celebrities all up in there. That's their brand, and that works. Whereas Mercedes has been the more refined. I mean, Michelle Obama, like all of that kind of level.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's still fun. It's still results driven. It's still inspiring. It's just a different version of it. I think the cool part for me, and one of the main reasons why it's solidified, I will still and am still a Mercedes fan. You thought I was going to go red.
You are going to go red.
I'm not going red. I'm a Mercedes fan. It is because this week.
Does your heart start beating a little quicker when Hamilton?
I'm still a Hamilton fan. I have nothing against Hamilton.
Hamilton's a red.
Yes, but that doesn't make me a Mercedes fan. That makes me make me a Ferrari fan. That makes me a.
You heard it here.
I'm already turning. Sono affamato. And I think for me, what was really cool is this weekend watching the pre-race team representative press conference. You've got Toto Wolff, James Vowles, Andy Cow from Aston Martin. And Toto Wolff's in the middle. James Vowles used to work for him. Mm-hmm. Andy used to work for him. And now here are two dudes that used to work for Toto sitting on either side of him in literally the highest leadership position in the paddock. They are both team principals.
It's good leadership.
It's incredible leadership. It speaks inspirational dump truck loads of awesomeness towards Toto, the team. And look at what Williams is doing this year. I mean, Aston Martin is F1's biggest marketing scam, but look at what Williams is doing.
They're like, wait, is this even a race team anymore?
Like, who's the most protected driver on the grid right now other than Lance Stroll? But it is inspiring to see someone that can live those principles out, still be competitive, still be in your face, but still also raise people up, send them out.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes.
And that's why Mercedes will, to full circle this, that's why Mercedes will go further and longer, and I think continue going up, whereas Red Bull is in the shakiest ground, and I think it will only go down. Unless the Ford engine they get next year, the Ford engine in its first year is some kind of reliable rocket ship.
Not going to happen. There is a difference between, so Mercedes had their own Dark Knight of the Soul a couple years ago.
Totally.
But there was a difference in that being lost, and I think what Red Bull's experience being lost. Mercedes found a way through that. Toto found he had the ability to take ownership of that.
Yep.
And it was dark. I mean, Hamilton was depressed
Oh,
every single race.
They asked Toto what they wanted to do with the car. And he goes, park it in the lobby. He goes, I want every one of our employees to walk through and realize the mistake that we made so that we don't do it again. And they did it again. But
here's the thing, though.
It was trash.
It was a different season of being lost. It wasn't this drama-filled teams tearing itself apart. Now, obviously, like, Hamilton left.
Totally.
So, like, you could say, like, that's a massive blow to Mercedes.
Yes.
But also, like, they had been so forward-thinking that Kimi was always going to be next. Hamilton didn't get the length of contract he wanted.
No.
And
Kimi was in.
And Toto...
And good thing.
And good thing. Kimi's going to be the next Hamilton. He's going to be the next Max. And so...
Hamilton lost nothing.
Hamilton
he gained $500,000. He didn't lose anything.
Hundreds of millions in his bank account.
Yeah. $500 million.
With the B. Mercedes.
They'll win it.
Should they be concerned?
They'll win second, not it.
Should they be concerned at this point about winning second?
I don't think so. I think this was a really bad week for them. They've been nothing but consistent all year. Kimi has been head and shoulders above the rest of the rookies.
Yeah.
He's completed races the others haven't. He has shown better qualifying pace, and obviously he has a better car than most of them. And the only thing that could turn is if Ferrari somehow figures out how to develop and gets exponentially faster or does something exponentially greater than Mercedes is going to do as well throughout this season. And because of where we are with these regulations, I just don't see it happening. No one's going to find a half second. No one's going to find, the linchpin has been found. It was found in
McLaren
2023.
found it halfway through the season.
Yes.
But that was a one-off.
Water in the tires.
One-off. I love it. Should we talk Racing Bulls?
I think we should.
Let's go there. So these guys, they vault positions in the constructors.
Yeah. Where were they last week?
They were down, I want to say, in like 8th or even like a little bit lower. They're now in 7th, 22 points. They're coming for Haas in 6th with 26 points.
Yeah.
Hadjar gets 6th place behind, Lewis Hamilton in 5th.
Incredible.
Liam gets 8th. It was his first.
Significantly behind Lewis. Like, Lewis could have pitted.
But also, Lewis was significantly behind Max.
Yes, he also started P7.
Max did pit and then had like a 20-second gap to Lewis. It was Monaco. It was crap.
Max started in P4. He probably started in P7.
But how big was this weekend?
Oh, it was huge.
Both for Racing Bulls and for Liam.
They shined from the shadows. Yeah. I think Hadjar to finish 6th, that's his career best.
Helmut's like, wait, why isn't this guy in the second seat?
I think he will be by the end of the year. Why not? I think that everyone's just going to go. No one's going to be shocked at this point.
Dude, this guy has scored 4 times already.
Lawson finished P8, which I believe is his best.
Yes, it is.
Career finish.
It is, yeah.
Which is hilarious because he's on a team with another rookie who finishes ahead of him at Monaco, which is something crazy. They're delivering strong performance in the Racing Bulls. And I think what's cool about that is that the team is shining way more than we expected this year.
Oh, yeah.
Their car is matching the greatest livery.
It's a solid livery.
That's the greatest one. And my one note.
You have a constructive note here?
That ruins Racing Bulls for me. Look, I only got a GED. You're the one with the master's degree. But
you've got a PhD level burn rate on socials, though. Let's just say that. In my
opinion, they were holding up cars for Red Bull today.
Oh, in your opinion?
That is absolutely unacceptable. It is, again, coming up for me. No one owner should have 4 cars. And then you go to Monaco and you go, oh, right. No, we don't talk.
Well,
We share drivers.
Crofty and
parts.
Brundle were both like, so
This is
yeah,
crazy,
Horner's
dude.
got 4 cars on track, and even though he shouldn't,
He is.
Of course he's going to.
You know he's got a burner phone. He's got a flipping jitterbug that he's texting.
He might have a couple burner
Lauren
phones. If the
He's got a burner phone.
allocations
He's
are
got one with a
correct.
camera, one without. And he's got, he's texting Laurel Mackey's going, hey. Just, I don't know if you wanted that bonus or not this year, but maybe if you could just hold him back a little bit.
Well,
That'd be a little
that's what they're doing.
present.
That's what they were doing.
100%, dude.
And then
Like-
Williams was like, oh, wait, we can do that? We can do that? Okay, I guess we're going to do that. Sainz is
Like,
going to
with
hold them
their
for
two
Albon.
cars.
Albon's gonna-
But the thing that really bugged me, dude,
Oh, yeah, no, it
because it
bugged
just
everyone.
sucked even more out of this race.
Well, this was the fuel to my fire of rage about this weekend was you see how it's being manipulated. It was pace manipulation.
Yes.
And that was
Exactly.
the terminology that was being used by Sainz. Sainz was like, this is all it was. It was just pace manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's antithetical to what racing should be. So again, it's a great result for Racing Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's that other side of the coin, that darker side of it, where it's just like, there's something going on here between Racing Bulls and Red Bulls where one is benefiting the other
Mm-hmm.
and they're screwing the entire field over.
Yeah. So that was my one bone to pick with them.
It's a significant bone.
Yeah.
Um,
Did Gasly get any
Penalty?
FIA penalties or anything for the
I
Yuki
was looking at
track?
before I was looking at before we recorded, trying to be most up to date. I don't know if he did. I think all I saw was a reprimand, which would seem to be a little confusing.
A reprimand
A reprimand
for driving a trike around the track, flicking carbon fiber left and right?
Gasly showed up and first off, locks his rear axle, coming out of the tunnel, smashes into the back of Yuki. If you watch the onboard on Yuki, it's like it's like nothing.
Not for the
Gasly-
Alpine.
Literally, his 4-wheeled vehicle goes to a
Boink.
3-wheeled trike, but then he just keeps going. And I was like, what is this guy doing? This is so illegal. Literally,
The
spinning
regulations
carbon-
say you need to just immediately stop. It
but-
should have been a
but
red
apparently
flag.
He couldn't stop.
No.
He said
Oh,
he
he had no
said
brakes.
he had no brakes. He had no brakes. So he's literally driving freaking half of the
Is
track.
that how he got away with it?
I'm not sure if he had no brakes or if he had no brakes. Like if that was the only way he could think to get away with it. But Teddy, who's in the pit lane, said that when he came in, the team literally had to stop that car because it wouldn't stop on its own.
Right.
So that may be taken into consideration. That may be why, as of now, it looks like he hasn't actually gotten more than a reprimand.
Yeah,
From
I'm
the
looking
FIA?
here. It says, whilst the collision was deemed to be wholly or predominantly Gasly's fault, there was no sporting consequence for Tsunoda, and it ruined the Alpine Stars race with the DNF, thus receiving a reprimand instead of a penalty. So because it had zero effect on Yuki. Because he was...
What about the rest of the track? You're driving.
That's my whole thing.
I was like, at
there's
any
no
minute-
zero. There's no zero sum here. It's like
His fourth
it
tire was
affected,
about to
it
fly
affected
off.
19 other cars.
Well, I mean, there's also the point of it too, where cars are having to slow down to make sure they don't get punctures as they're trying to
Mhm.
wade through, but then also trying to
Max
get
is
back
trying
on
to ramrod his way around Piastri.
It's like, Max, come on, dude, just
Max being Max.
But
If
no.
Max was in a Ferrari, would he win
a race or the championship.
the championship? Like, is there a car where Max couldn't win in the top ones? Like, is Max that Maxy?
All right, so I would say Max would he'd win races with Ferrari, but it'd have to be built around him. I don't think you could
You don't
just
think he could
drop
just
him
hop
there.
in?
No.
You think
No.
he'd be in the same boat as Lewis?
I think
trying
so,
to,
yeah.
Trying to warm up, figure it
Max
out.
is benefiting from years of
Right.
tailoring to that car to his exact specifications.
Mhm.
You can't just drop that dude in a Ferrari and be like, "Oh no, you're gonna perform well."
Right.
Like he'll race, he'll be in the points. He's not gonna win.
Yeah.
So I think it takes time for them to tailor a car around you.
Right.
So yeah, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen.
Did we
Um,
talk Ferrari yet?
We've talked about
Around
them.
Ferrari.
We've talked around them. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. Chuck Leclerc, despite strong qualifying,
Finishes P2.
Finishes P2, qualifies P2,
Very
finishes
angry.
P2. Very typical Monaco.
Very typical.
But he's upset.
Well, he is, because Chuck has been upset this season.
It's his highest finish all season.
He's been angry. He's been angry.
He's driving angry, man.
He's been driving angry. And here's the thing. You got Hamilton. He's there. The car's not where it should be. And so this is only his second podium.
Right.
And we're in Monaco.
Yeah.
So they're not where they were last year.
Right.
They have
true.
taken a step down.
Yeah.
In a year where they said they were going to drive for both championships. And so I think there's real frustration Chuck's feeling.
Yeah.
And again, there's been issues at other races. There's been frustrations both drivers have felt around strategy, around the car performance, where they've been. And so I think, rightly or wrongly, Chuck came into this weekend saying, I am going to freaking get on pole.
Right.
He had incredibly high expectations. He almost got it. Lando denied him. We talked about that. But he understands Monaco. He understands if I can't get pole, I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
And Hamilton had a great assessment.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on like Hamilton's weekend in general?
Well, Hamilton had very sobering things to say, and he literally was just like, "This was a terrible weekend."
Yeah.
He's like, Monaco. Any points, place, finish in Monaco is empty except P1.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything because there was no fight to get there. And so both drivers, they got a haul of points. They're now firmly in contention for P2 and the constructors. Both frustrated though, and I think they're still frustrated because at this point we're 8 races in.
Yes.
That's a decent chunk.
It's a decent chunk.
A third of the season.
Yep.
And we're still in a spot where Ferrari's not on the top step.
Yeah.
China Sprint doesn't count.
No.
Hamilton winning China Sprint doesn't count. Ferrari does not have a car worthy of the top step. And for two drivers who have been there multiple times, for a driver who has been champion multiple times, that can only be frustrating for you.
100%. The question is like, is Ferrari his comeback move, or was it just a soft landing? And I think for me, I think I've been a little on the fence in regards to him getting comfortable in the car. And I think this weekend, I really started to see FP1 solid, FP2 better, FP3 better, qualifying solid. And I was like, man, I think he might be starting to really get his hands around this Ferrari. And Monaco of all tracks, yes, I mean, Lewis is an incredible track record at Monaco.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not an easy track if you're unfamiliar with the car. It's not an easy track if you are familiar with the car.
Yeah.
And so for him to really bring out some of his best performances all season at Monaco, I was like, man, I feel like this is a really good sign of what is to come.
Yeah, I mean, they should walk away from this weekend with some encouragement.
Massive points haul for them.
It was a huge points haul. And so they should walk away with that going into Spain.
Yes.
I think, again, the perennial frustration now, and this isn't just a one-year thing. This is a building. Ferrari has said, we are here to win.
Yes.
We are here to win the drivers. We are here to win the constructors. And that has been an empty promise that has been ringing in the ears of every 100%. F1 fan and every tifosi out there now for decades. How much longer can you say that?
100%.
Like, how much longer can you continue to say, no, we're going to do this? And you're not going to do it this year. McLaren's run away with it. And now the best you can hope for is P2. And that is just a building frustration, a building tension for two guys who desperately want to make their mark. Hamilton to get his 8th, Chuck to get his 1st, and the team to get their first constructors in decades. So again, it's just every year when this story rewrites itself.
Yeah.
And you're written out.
Yeah.
Like that's,
I mean, at what point do we ask ourselves though, like, I love Chuck.
Of course.
Chuck's car is right there. How many polls does it take before we admit Chuck can't convert? Like, is Chuck overrated because of the Ferrari hype? Youngest Ferrari driver, longest contract. Where are the results?
Yeah.
Like,
it's not, I mean, you're right. It's never all on the driver. It's never all on the car. It is a partnership between the two. But let's think about this for a second. Oscar, you're going to hear a little dog in the background. Our neighbor.
Gina's
hanging out
dog.
with
Shout out to
us.
Gina. Thanks for letting us use the garage.
Thank you so much. Let's compare Chuck and Oscar for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, youngest Ferrari driver.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar comes into McLaren, one of the youngest drivers. And I know Oscar has had the benefit of joining a team that is catapulting. But Oscar has come in as a very young driver and has just freaking hit the ground running. Chuck has joined Ferrari in a period where they were winning.
Yes.
In a period where they actually were going to go for both the drivers and the constructors. This was several years ago. And their strategy and the team was what just got in their own way. And so you've got to have the car, you've got to have the driver, you've got to have the team. They all have to be working in unison. And I think the frustration for Chuck is he has not had that yet.
Right.
He has not had all of those things.
So you think the
working in
hype is
unison.
right? You just don't think he's been given the right car?
I don't think he was given the right car with the right team at the right time.
Mm.
And so you think about Monaco several years ago, where he's winning the race. The team makes a atrocious strategy call. He comes into the pit behind Sainz. They're double stacking.
Yeah.
Costs him I mean, like, that was what that season was just strategy error after strategy error. And so I think it's a bummer now because they seem to have better strategy, but they can't get the car where it needs to be. So it's like they can never align all those three things at the same time.
Yeah.
Driver, car, strategy.
Yeah.
So I think, again, like, you can only do this for so long as a driver
100%.
in Ferrari.
He's years
where
into
you're
this.
like, dude, I am into this thing. I need, and I should have had championships by now. Give me one.
Right.
I don't need the drivers. Give me a freaking constructors championship.
exactly.
And you can't deliver that.
Exactly.
So again, like, I think
he would have thought a couple of years ago that he was in a better place than Lando. And now he's realizing that he's not.
I mean, he's looking at his contemporaries. He's looking at the guys that he grew up with, who they all
100%.
came into F1 together. And Lando's got constructors under his belt.
And
Oscar's got constructors.
for the life cycle of drivers, they're in the middle. So you have all of these new rookies. It's the young guys.
It's crazy.
Who
These guys
they
are in
were.
the middle.
Who they were. That's who they were. And now they're in the middle. And then, of course, you've got your Alonsos, your Hülkenbergs, your Hamiltons at the tail end of their careers. But these guys are in the middle, and Alonso and Hamilton, the reason why they're still here is because in the middle, they were at the top.
Yep. They won.
They won. Do you get to the end if you don't experience it in the middle? That's what I would be thinking if I was Chuck. It's like, this is my time to do this. If I don't do this, if Isaac Hadjar gets the Red Bull seat and he goes and gets a world championship with Max Verstappen somehow next year, what am I doing? That's the level at which
Antonelli.
I feel. Or Antonelli with Mercedes. Exactly. He's sitting there going, what the heck? I went to Ferrari. It's a red car. I drew it as a kid. And now what? It's not enough to say I drive for Ferrari. Everyone wants to say they drive for Ferrari. Yes, I agree.
Oh, that's so
Great.
sobering.
Everyone says that. But what they really want to say is they say I won with Ferrari and I got them a world championship and I got myself one too.
Yeah.
And is that going to happen for Chuck?
I mean,
not this year.
No, it's not going to happen this year. I mean, the real question is Chuck another Daniel Ricciardo? Incredible driver.
Yep.
Race-winning driver.
Yep.
Tons of great potential. Team, phenomenal potential, but just couldn't make it happen.
This is a great question. If I do say so myself, if Chuck is given the option to go to another team, does he leave now? 2026, some team says, hey, it's Red Bull, it's Mercedes, it's McLaren. Do I go? Does he say, yes, I'm going?
It's a really hard question to answer. I think if it's the right team, you'd be a fool not to seriously consider it if you're Chuck.
Yes, I agree.
Because
But
he's been with
does he go? Like, that's the answer. If he goes, is that what he does? Or does he stay? Does he go from red or stay with red?
Well, this is the conversation and the question that Danny Rick had to ask himself. He made the wrong decision, clearly. And I love Danny Rick. Should have stayed with Red Bull. Should have won the constructors. Should have won a drivers. God, Danny. But no, but he decided to leave, and then all hell broke loose. I think Chuck, you've got to ask, like, is the momentum finally with us? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay, if you have to make a choice. Chuck, Lando's leaving. He's retiring. You can have his seat.
If it was McLaren, I'd go to McLaren. Yeah, Chuck, go to McLaren.
Man, I'd stay in
figured it
red.
out.
I'd stay in red.
You'd stay. Why? They've done nothing for you. You've gotten some wins.
That's not true. That's not
You've
true.
gotten some
They've done
wins.
nothing for him. I'm just saying it's too. What if he goes from red and goes to McLaren and McLaren flops next year
Well,
and red comes out?
you didn't say it was next year. I mean,
I did say next year. I said 2026.
2026 is a wild card. We don't know where people are going to be at. So yeah, I think if you're Chuck and you have to make the decision for next year, I would stay red.
Right.
If it's next year and you're in the same place, get the hell out.
Go to kick.
Go.
Go to Williams. They're going places, man.
Tell Hulk to move over because they've got a new driver.
That's so good. Okay, driver of the day for you, the GOAT of the week, as we like to call it, the greatest of all time for this week.
Well, I mean, no, Monaco doesn't deserve to have a greatest driver because they're not driving.
I literally wrote down. I was like,
refuse the premise of that question.
I was like, how do you give Monaco the greatest driver, greatest qualifier? Lando.
Yeah,
100%.
Greatest qualifier. That's
100%.
all I will honor
to say
them with.
that he was the greatest driver. Lando's Monaco win, 1 pole, 0 battles, 78 laps of holding his breath. It was nothing.
That's it.
It was nothing. There's no driver of the week at Monaco.
No, doesn't deserve it.
Pierre Gasly, driver of the week. We absolutely love it.
Any thoughts on the unluckiest man in Formula One, Alonso?
Okay.
This guy.
Alonso.
Let me just throw.
He was in the points. Let me just throw some
stats at you real quick.
Don't throw me stats from this season.
This man has DNF'd 4 times this season.
This is his worst start in 10 years.
This man has DNF'd 50% of this season.
This is his worst start in 10 years. A decade. A decade.
Z points. The only 8 points Aston has is with Stroll, who has scored 3 times this season. Alonso has DNF'd 10th. DNF'd. No, that was in the sprint. Didn't count as points because they're only the top 8. So DNF'd out of the points in the sprint. DNF'd 11th. 15th, 11th, DNF'd, 15th, 11th, and DNF'd. This guy loves 15th and 11th and DNFs.
15, he just changed his name from 14 to 15.
My God. It's like this guy is either right outside the points, back in 15th, or he's crashing out. Is it his fault he doesn't have points this season?
Yeah.
Is it the car?
No, it's the cars, dude. It's the cars and the teams. That the team it's the biggest, most expensive episode of The Office that you've ever seen.
Aston.
Yes, it feels like it's run by Michael Scott. Like world's greatest boss vibes. Like it is shocking, except it's not funny.
Great colors.
Great color. We all love our British
factory.
Racing Green. They spend more money than anyone can comprehend. And they suck more than anyone can comprehend.
Adrian Newey's there.
Newey was there with his notebook, and I feel like he ran out of pages going like, what the? Or he was just kind of, what the heck are you guys doing here, man? This is wild. He also was ironically not in Stroll's side of the garage, only Alonso's, which is kind of funny.
Why would you ever be on Stroll's side of the garage?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, Aston Martin is terrible. He's the unluckiest dude, and it sucks, man. I really did not want to see the tail end of Alonso's career in a car that's this bad. And if 2026 is a joke, it just feels like a really crappy way for him to end his career. A lot of his career has been marked by poor decisions. Making those decisions like we were just talking about with where would Chuck go?
Yeah.
Danny Rick times, 5 or 6.
So roll the dice, man.
And so it would really be a bummer for him to end on that note.
It would.
Stroll, though, man.
Champion.
Just like always.
In 15th.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on the Monaco
No, Monaco was
procession?
Monaco gave us a procession. I think Barcelona is going to give us exposure.
Well
I
said.
think we're going to see where the setups are found out. I think we're going to see some rookies fumble. And fake pace that was all there in Monaco this week is going to die the death it deserves to die.
Who's the top 3 next race?
I think we're going to see a McLaren civil war.
Agreed.
I think we're going to see Oscar go into that weekend leading the championship. Barcelona is wide. It's fast. It's brutal
Thank
on
God
tires.
we can pass
There-
again.
Yes, Europe does have incredible racetracks. You just have to make sure you go to them. There's no excuses. There's no favoritism. Every single driver on that track knows Barcelona like the back of their hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is going to be a wonderful change of pace from the crap we experienced in Monaco.
Phenomenal.
My question for you is, will McLaren finally pick its number 1, or will they let chaos rule?
No. They're not going to do it. They will not pick the number 1. They're going to allow the drivers to battle it out.
Okay. And then my follow-up to that is Lando going to pull a Rosberg and start swinging back? Like, is he going to start
He needs to.
just ignoring team rules, ignoring engagement, and just going out there and ripping?
Well, McLaren has the benefit of, a 150 plus point lead in the constructors. They can afford to make a mistake or two, and Lando knows that. And so if I'm Lando, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm going out, I'm dominating, I'm swinging, I'm gonna take risks. It'd be one thing if you were like 3 points ahead in the constructors.
Yep.
You're not taking any risks there. They have room to take risks. I think they're going to.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to take each other out on corner 1? Like, when I say civil war, I think they're going to take
wheel.
I think they're going to take each other out on corner 1.
They race hard, but they race fair. And that's what they've always kind of done.
Yep.
And I think Oscar is a big part of that. So I would see like a Max Oscar.
Wow, you think Max is going to be up there?
No, I would say if someone's going to take out a McLaren, I could see Max doing it.
Right. You're not saying he's going to be up there.
The McLarens, I don't see them taking each other out. They race hard, they race fair. That's not their brand, but that's a Max brand.
Yeah.
So
okay. So Max, what do you think he's going to be in Barcelona? I think it's Max versus setup.
I think he's going to be 3rd. Actually,
you think he's going to be 3rd?
I think he's going to bounce back.
He very was 4th, corner heavy.
He was 4th.
Balance matters in Barcelona.
I know. He was 4th, and he trashed qualifying. Still in 4th. Now, again, no one could pass him. But
if they botch the strategy again, will Max Verstappen have a brain aneurysm while driving around the track?
He's just
yes or no?
He's just going to drive into the sunset, off-road with that thing, just never go back to Red Bull. I feel bad for him. He needs a car. He doesn't have it. But he's doing what he can.
I think one of the biggest things I'm looking for in Barcelona is Ferrari going to be progression or regression? Like, are we going to see redemption, or are we going to see them fall back? Like, Leclerc misses his win at home. Hamilton's finally on the pace. Was it masked by Monaco's slow motion format? Like, will the F25 survive Barcelona's high speed sweepers?
I think we will see the real Ferrari. Whether that is regression, whether that's progression, they are going to be, unmasked. They're going to be there, as every other team will be. There's nothing to hide behind on a real racetrack.
Do you feel like Sainz is going to continue dominating over Hamilton, or do you think Hamilton's going to match or even beat Sainz this weekend going into Barcelona?
Sainz and Williams? Or Chuck?
Well, I just mixed everything up.
I was like, if Hamilton loses to a Williams...
Is Chuck going to dominate in the Ferrari over Hamilton? Or do you think Hamilton will, in Barcelona, a track he's very good at, be able to finally take the fight to Chuck. Out-qualify, out-race him.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my money on Hamilton. Of the two, I think Chuck's driving angry.
Yes. Like, is
And
he emotionally spent, or do you think he still has revenge in the tank?
I think he's emotionally spent. He's driving angry. Hamilton's pissed, but he's also like, he's got wisdom. He's got years. He's got drivers' championships on Chuck, and so there's a lot more in the tank he can pull from. And I think Chuck at this point, he hasn't reached any of that, like we talked about. And I think at this point, he's driving emotional. He's driving angry. He wins P2 and he's pissed. Like, that shows up in how you drive, and I think that's going to come out next week.
Yeah. There's a lot to go on. One of the things I'm most excited about for next week is the rookies. And I know you get so bored with the rookies.
I get bored with them. I'm a little indifferent.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They all know Barcelona, which means next week there are zero excuses.
Yeah, you got to show up.
There's no tight walls. There's no, I've never
Wide
been
open
here
spaces.
before. I've only done this on the simulator. It doesn't matter. You're not an F2 anymore. You know the track. You're good or you're not. Like Antonelli, redemption in Spain? I don't know.
I think so.
Hadjar keeps his momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Colapinto, are you going to crash again? Or are you finally going to finish?
I don't know what Colapinto's going to do.
Like, it's crazy.
He is not
Bortoletto, like, well, you're in a kick. You have no
chance.
Matter. Behrman, is he going to fight back? Like, what are we going to see from the rookies? It's going to be amazing.
You know what we're going to have in Spain?
A real wonderful race.
A real freaking race.
Yes. Oh, man. Also, what I love about it is Barcelona it's hungry for Pirelli rubber. It is an absolute great racing track, but it's a great strategy track.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially with these new compounds that are so confusing. We're going to go harder down. So we're going to move away from the C6, but we're going to see some tire whispers. We're going to see some pit wall bandits. It's going to be a pretty fun Sunday.
Be fantastic.
I'm actually excited again. I came into this a little low because Monaco, you suck.
Brought us down.
Barcelona, I'm ready for it.
Let's bring it back, dude.
Hola, Barcelona. This is terrible. I should stop. Thanks for joining us. And shout out to our volunteer producer today, Joshua Jones. Wonderful to have him with us, laughing and snickering and eating all of my beef jerky in our garage. Thanks for listening. Ben, do you want to say anything?
Appreciate you folks. See you next week for some real racing.